Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very special We the People. It's not evening, and it's not a Thursday or a Monday or a Wednesday like it should be. This is special because we have a guest live from the hellmouth of our democratic failure, the heartland of our democracy, I guess, all the way from D.C. Lee Camp, who's an activist, comedian, host of RT's Redacted Tonight, and very outspoken, as I am, about the internet censorship and what we need to do with independent media. Please welcome to We the People, Lee Camp. Lee, thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you joining us. I know you've got a lot to do, and it's been kind of a busy week post midterm, right?
Yeah. Trying to deal with all that and the chaos with California being on fire and all. That's what I'm covering on tonight's Redacted Tonight.
Okay.
It's a lot of madness.
Yeah. Climate change kind of seems to be at the forefront, at least, of what you and I are thinking about, right?
I know, and what's amazing is like literally California's on fire, like the largest fires ever. There's 600 people are missing right now. Like if they're all dead, we're talking deaths in the hundreds.
Yes.
We're already at 59 or something, and yet I watch these the mainstream media reports. There's still most of them are still not saying climate change,
right.
And it's totally mind blowing. It's like they sit there and they say, "Oh, isn't it odd? California's on fire, and but we'll rebuild." And it's like, how is it you can? It's like they can't. The words climate change, global warming, we are fucked. None of that is like in their vocabulary.
Well, Jerry Brown mentioned it. He blamed the fires on climate change, but he's still happy with fracking the crap out of California. So I'm not sure.
I know. I think his sister's with a major oil company or something.
Yeah, so I don't really know what California plans to do. And Nancy Pelosi wants to compromise with our fascist regime. So I'm not sure she's going to work on climate change either.
No, she actually, I love that. Before the midterms even happened, the Democrats, just in case they won the House,
yes,
were already tamping down expectations, saying, hey, we're not really going to be able to get much done on climate change. Just to let you know,
right,
in advance,
right,
we're not doing shit for you.
No, but they did manage to, what did Nancy say? They're going to do a look into it? Wasn't that some kind of commission on climate change?
Yeah, they're going to have a 10-year commission on just how screwed we are right before the point of no return. Although I did see Nancy Pelosi did silence some of her critics that were saying she's a zombie. She revealed she's actually 5 zombies stacked on each other's shoulders. So,
you know what? When you're in the office that long, that you assume powers. We also have with us in the studio, we don't have Laura live and good. She is busy working this Friday, but Germans, they have a different schedule. So we've got Marcus with us dealing with comments. And if you guys have questions for Lee, we'll try to get to them. I do have a tight schedule, and so does he. And we've got a lot of things to talk about, and it has has a little bit to do with climate change. Climate change really sets the timetable. But we're talking more about what we can do to kind of change the narrative, control the narrative around, get people to realize we need to mobilize faster on that, right? And kind of change the narrative. You did a show, episode 216, talked about crushing independent media, which Facebook and Twitter worked together with, Google and our government to do a good job of that recently?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible that, because they've been suppressing thought, independent outlets and alternative outlets like mine, I'm sure like yours. They've been suppressing that for a long time. I've been unofficially capped at 335,000 followers on Facebook for 2 years now.
Wow.
They will not it just stays at that number. So obviously there's suppression. But what was interesting is this was just a full-on coordinated banning of, it was like 800 pages. Many of them, I don't know all of them. Some of them probably are awful, but some of them were legitimate outlets like Police to Police, Free Thought Project, Anti-Media. And not only, what was interesting was really the conspiring between Twitter and Facebook to silence them on one platform and then suspend all of the editors and everything from these outlets on Twitter simultaneously,
right,
so that they didn't have a chance to get this message out that their outlet had been suppressed. It was truly kind of jaw-dropping in how the breadth of it,
Not only that, but now it's past the 48-hour news cycle because we've had I don't know how many dozens of things happen after that, so nobody cares. It's gone, right?
Yeah.
It's gone. And
Yeah, no, that's what they're counting on. They know there'll be some outrage. They know there'll be initial outrage, and then it'll dip down, and they hope it just floats away.
yeah. So
Oh, interesting. And I think this might actually get to what I'm guessing your next question is. That on that same day, the Minds platform was also censored. It was not banned from Facebook, but it was you cannot instant message people with anything about Minds. So Facebook knew that banning these pages would cause a mass exodus to uncensored platforms such as Minds. So they then also censored Minds on Facebook.
that's like a coordinated cyber attack on the independent movement, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty slick. That's a lot of action right there. I didn't even realize that had happened. And okay, wow, that's frightening because we don't seem to have the resources to really combat that. Do you think? What do you think we're at in the state of independent media?
Yeah, I don't think we have the resources, and it's been interesting to easily combat it. But it's been interesting to see the trajectory over a 10, 15-year period where Facebook was, when it started, it was small enough, it was independent, it was not connected to the government for the most part, and it was pretty free. Like you could post pretty much whatever you wanted. Now that then led to things such as Occupy and even the Tea Party and Black Lives Matter and many of these things. And the government realized, wow, we got to really crush these things. So they then became part of Facebook. So now Facebook and the government are almost so intertwined, they're almost interchangeable. Same with Google, and they have now realized that they need to stop these movements from happening, Occupy, Black Lives Matter, or even the Bernie Sanders movement from happening. And so all of this has been designed to get all of that under control. And, I agree. We don't yet have the resources to really stop this. So in terms of going forward, I think that we have to build up these other platforms. The two biggest ones right now are, I guess, Minds and Steemit. Mastodon is a bit of a Twitter world, similar to Twitter. And build those up while I think continuing to use Facebook, because Facebook is so large in terms of number of users that it's like a second internet or World Wide Web. So to just say we're not using the World Wide Web because it's become censored, I think that's a dumb move. But we're as activists, we're throwing away a tool in our toolbox.
Agree. Yeah, I mean we have to use it. It's our only. It is our best means of communication, right? For the revolution. So we've got no choice. I mean, the censorship's going to happen, but we can get around it or work around it or do our best ways. What about traditional channels? Do you think we should look at trying to get our message into traditional channels? It seems like there's a lot of barriers to entry.
By traditional channels, are you talking about like television, or
Yeah.
do you mean specifically the mainstream outlets?
Well, I mean,
Like,
radio, traditional radio, placing advertising on CNN, Fox News, local. I'm thinking more local stations because we really can't address like the national media. That's expensive as hell. But getting local independents, getting media on local stations. Do you think that's a viable answer?
I mean, look, I'm one who thinks you just throw as many darts at the board as you can. So
Yes.
if people are working on local stations, I think I think that's important too. I do wonder how many people are still flipping channels on local stations because I don't own a TV. I think a lot of people are doing TV by demand. Even if you do own a TV, you only watch your select shows. So I just wonder how much are people flipping channels, discovering new programs on their television set. I don't know.
Right. No, I don't, and I agree. I'm not sure that they are discovering them, but I think we're looking at it. I'm addressing probably an older generation. The older generations, while some of them are on the internet looking at information, there's a whole voter base that is not, right? And they're paying attention to Fox News, they're paying attention to CNN, and then we have a kind of a double front here. We have to deal with a fascist regime, and we have to deal with this centrist middle that's confused, or I don't know what they are. And so how do I think I'm looking at that. Is the internet our best option? Do we have the time to wait, I guess, is a better question. What do we had talked about that before about timetable. What do we do?
Yeah, I don't think we have any time, no. But I do think that television has proven to have enough gatekeepers that if you were saying anything revolutionary on television, you usually get taken down. There are a few really interesting exceptions, but for the most part, if you are crossing certain lines, you're just not on television. However, that being said, Free Speech TV is one channel that does have very edgy stuff. The show Act Out with Eleanor Goldfield's on there. Democracy Now! Does some important coverage some of the time. That's one example of a channel that is more free and willing to ask bigger questions than what's allowed in kind of the corporate media little tiny box that's acceptable.
Agreed. Do when we get an opportunity, when any of the champions for the 99 get an opportunity to be on MSM, CNN, guest spots, do you think those are we doing good there? Do you think those are working, or do you think they're using that content against us?
I think it really depends on the circumstance and the person. I think if it's someone who knows what they're talking about and can really deal with the debate that they've set up, then yeah, I say go for it. If they're going to let Noam Chomsky on or Chris Hedges on or some rarity like that, then I say absolutely. But I think often they've set it up for you to fail if you are saying truly revolutionary things that are very scary to the corporate state, then they want to set it up for you to fail. A good example is NPR Weekend Edition wanted to cover Redacted Tonight, and they kept asking me if I do it. And by the way, they were welcome to come and view it, and they did come joined our live audience and watch the show and everything. But they kept asking me for an interview. And I said, absolutely, I will do a live interview anytime you want. And they said, oh, well, we can't really do a live interview. We just, how about it some other time? And I said, oh, no, I'll do a live interview anytime you want. And they kept asking and asking. Every time I said, absolutely, I'll do a live interview anytime you want. But they don't want that because they can't cut out what I'm going to say.
Right.
They can't find a half a sentence and if they do, let's say they do a half hour not live interview and they don't even find one sentence I say that fits the story they want, then they just won't use that half hour interview.
Right.
So really that is setting us up to lose. That is setting me up to look stupid by taking a half a sentence. But if it's live, then I can defend myself. I can argue, I can debate. And so I think you just have to be aware of those type of circumstances. They want to set it up for you to lose. And
Absolutely. But we need to, I guess, like you did, we need to continue to engage. We need to try to do that anyway, get our people on those forums and work them. It's frustrating. Back to your statement here about Minds and Steemit. What's holding them back the most? Just people, resources, engagement in general?
Well, I think these things take a long time to grow. It just, can you get to a tipping point? I know that, like, for example, Minds is very strict on their "we believe in freedom of speech, say whatever you want" idea. And so therefore, the first people to populate Minds are like neo-Nazis and stuff because that's the platform that will allow them. I don't know if it's possible I'm hoping it's possible to overcome that. If we were to flood it with truly, rational thought rather than just hatred, I think that it could be an important platform. So I know that is a problem Minds has right now.
Wow.
And yet at the same time, I'm not, like I said, I'm a fan of using different tools. So I'm not deleting my Minds page. And I think hopefully more people that are kind of left leaning or care more about loving humanity than killing those they disagree with will flood Minds and make it a different type of platform. Also, it's completely open source. So hypothetically, someone could create their own Minds that's different maybe. But and then Steemit is fascinating to me, but I don't feel like I know everything that's going on there. I've used it some, but many people have complaints that like the earliest adopters and the powerful people on Minds have a lot of power because they can make things get seen or not get seen. They can make people make a lot of money or not make any money.
Interesting.
With the cryptocurrency there. So I don't really know where to stand on Steemit, but I think that it is an option, and I think we should keep exploring these options.
All right. But nothing's going to compare to the Walmart of YouTube at this point, right?
No, nothing has built up to that level yet. But if they keep censoring everything, it's possible enough people will move over to these other platforms that it reaches again. It's a different type of tipping point where enough people are leaving Facebook. I mean, we saw how quickly it happened with MySpace.
That's
MySpace
true.
was all anyone was using for a couple of years and then just basically vanished. It was truly amazing. So I don't think that's impossible to do that to Facebook, to create a better alternative that people flock to.
Agreed. It's possible. It's just we got to get. That's where the organizing on the net comes in, is to get the mass movement to arrive there. And we had talked about that in Green Room about. And to me, that seems like an organizational issue, right? Getting all of the independent talkers on a similar page, right? And you pointed out kind of a systemic issue of that they're independent, right?
Yeah, I consider myself a lot of things. I think I put out information. I think I am an activist. But one thing I think I'm not good at, and wasn't born to do, is be an organizer. And so I think organizing is very important. And I'd love to see more really good organizers that put in the hard work of kind of corralling all of these different, I don't even know what to call it anymore, anti-corporate ideas and leaders and get them all kind of going into one path so we can, because, that's the easiest thing to stop true change, is just get a ton of infighting. And I just did a new comedy special, and the conclusion of the comedy special is that, like, if you took all of us who basically agree on the core issues of the change we want,
right?
Like if you add it all up, whether it's the people of color and LGBT and most women and minorities and people who are against unlimited surveillance and the prison state and the police state, and you were to unite all people who care about climate change, unite all of us into, it's like we'd be unstoppable. But instead, the infighting is really aggressive, and it's kind of like, if you're not a purist, I don't even want to talk to you. And, I'm a vegetarian and I'm not vegan, and that makes a lot of vegans just fucking despise me. And so it's like, don't you think we should be working together on this change rather than just winnowing down the number of people that fully agree to a tiny little select number?
Right. Like, I'm not going to stop eating meat either, but I am going to work on climate change with you, I hope, vegetarian. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's, so I get it. It's frustrating. I in my little tiny influence on Uphill Media Twitter, I'm like hitting Josh Fox. You really should get together with other people. You should do this. And we need a coalition of independent media entities. We need to create some kind of a convention or something, and just kind of make sure we're all on the same page. That's the kind of.
I absolutely agree. So that it would be harder to censor us.
Yes. Yes.
You take down one, and then the others tell all of the fans where to find them, so they can't be taken down so easily.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that's the one thing that MSM is doing well. I mean, they're a pack, and when they want to defend each other, they do it together, and when they want to take somebody out, they do it together, right? And we're not functioning that way, and it just seems like if we want to control the narrative, we kind of need to start organizing to control it. We're a little bit more. You've got the kind of influence to make that happen, Lee. You really should.
Do I?
I think. Marcus, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yeah, we have a question coming from Jilly Love, and she's asking, I should ask about Tim Berners-Lee, and especially if he has created an alternative to Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, he's working on basically an alternative to the way the World Wide Web works. It's and I don't claim to be smart enough to understand it, but I don't. It's not designed to hurt corporations at all. It's just designed to change the idea that every platform is stealing your information, your data, in order to market that to other people. So it's mainly to take the data surveillance aspect out of the World Wide Web, and it certainly sounds fascinating. I mean, I wish him luck. I don't know.
Yeah, we all do.
All right. Awesome. That it, Marcus?
That was the only question so far.
Awesome. Well, hi, all 33 of you. Thank you for being here at 9:39 in the morning. or 9 in the
Yeah,
morning.
so it's so early over there.
It is. No, no. Hey, I'm up. We're here. Most of the people, most of the people engaged in the revolution for us are have the time during the day to do it or sneak away from work. I think that's kind of a standard in the revolution at this point, while we still can, right? You know.
Yeah, I know. Well, we have our wage slave jobs, and then we try and change things on the weekends.
It's yeah.
It's not easy. It's designed to not be easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are very frustrating about that. What have you? Is there anything that RT is doing or that Redacted is doing? You guys are doing specifically to try to increase your reach or grow your message on the net?
I mean, I've just always tried to cast as wide a net, to reuse the term differently, as wide a net as I can. Like I'm putting up my stuff everywhere, but the suppression is very aggressive. I mean, I think the algorithms now, it's like if you put the word terrorism in your title, then that video is almost definitely going to get suppressed. And the so you could be saying how the U.S. supports terrorism by funding Al Qaeda offshoots in Syria. Like, that's an important video. It's an important thing for people to know. But it says the word terrorism in it, so let's make sure and suppress that. But I think the most interesting thing is if you look at the analytics, and this is, I like this because this is like true in-your-face proof of how things have changed. If you look at the analytics on Facebook of the past 3 years, and I look at my big page that I've had there, back until 2017, roughly, you'd see occasional viral posts. So I'd go like this, and then all of a sudden the line jumps up where I had some post that got 50,000 shares or something.
Right.
And then whatever it is they instituted, at some point, now the line just does this, always. It will never go. It can never spike. And I actually suspect that that's not just me. That's probably almost everything. That they have basically taken the ability away from something to go viral just out of the blue. Unless, I think what it is if something gets 1,000 shares, then an actual human being goes and looks at it and they decide whether they want that to be allowed to go viral. And if it's a cat video, then sure, why not? But if it says anything important, then not happening.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Marcus?
We experienced the same thing, when we were looking for we covered the midterms, and we were looking for music, to stream it live, and I was looking for revolution songs or songs that promoted people to vote, to go to vote and stuff, and nearly every song I had on my list, popular songs are blocked to be streamed by YouTube. This is a little thing which fits to the puzzle, in my opinion.
Yeah. We play a lot of music on our channel. We try to go out with a song on every show. And 2 years ago, or when we started Bernie 2016 TV, pretty much all of the content, not all of it, but most of the content that was available, that was going to be available, was there. All the words, like you're saying, if it's related to patriotism or revolution, they've all been blocked at this point. There's very few that are still, unless it's from an independent artist, So they're not just censoring our direct content; they're censoring anything that's relevant to this. It's really frightening.
Another example is I know someone whose entire channel is to help people with mental health when they're dealing with a narcissist, like someone. Like their boyfriend or girlfriend or mother or whatever has, narcissistic syndrome. And one of the topics that comes up is not just narcissism, but sociopathy. What if you're living with a sociopath? And so when she titles something with sociopath, and it's like, it gets completely suppressed. And then I think she said another channel was banned. And these are mental health channels.
Right.
But it's just, oh my God, everything's got to be in a very tight, strict box, which is the opposite of what the internet was designed to do.
It is. But somehow we've allowed these corporations and our government to work together to decide what we get to see.
Yeah. And another point about that, it just came out that Google for 6 months or a year has been working on creating a fully government censored search engine for China and working with the Chinese government. And so that was revealed. And I love the idea that anyone thinks that once Google has perfectly perfected a government censored search engine for China, That'll never be used in America.
Right.
That is just for China. That will never be here.
No,
Like,
never.
of course, any tool they have, they will use.
Of course.
I want to, like 6 months from now, it will be revealed that prototype for China's censorship was used on American citizens from X period to X period. You know, that's, we get tested on that shit all the time. And you know, we're going to see it as we head into 2020. We saw it as with the midterms. Not only suppression, but just we can't communicate. The voter suppression was off the frickin' charts, and you talked about you talked about that a lot. I just want to divert on that for a second. Do you think we can win that battle of voter suppression? Do you think we have a chance? It's divergent. We've got the message out there in the net, but do we have the political power to change the suppression?
Well, if you, I'm not sure who we is, but if we is like election integrity people, wanting a better election system, I think that we can. I think we're getting closer and closer to a place where most Americans are distrusting of the current election system, where you vote on black box machines. You have no idea what's going on. It's proprietary code for a corporation. I mean, the thing is laughable.
Yeah.
And I think that now we just need those people to make the shift from being like, I kind of don't like this, to I'm going to get active to try and change this. Because we need an open source, fully accountable, auditable, like you can view the audit. I mean, they are covering up every step of these elections. And what I say on the latest comedy special about this topic is that imagine if the last 10 minutes of the Super Bowl, they turned off all the cameras, sent the crowd home, and finished the game in secrecy, and then turned the camera on and a ref said, the Cowboys won.
Yeah.
Like, people would lose their goddamn minds. The country would be on fire. But instead, we do that with our presidency and all of our elections, and we don't have a problem with it. It's totally outrageous. And I hope that these election integrity movements, and people can look them up and find them and volunteer, and I hope people do, because we're at a point that it could grow to kind of a fever pitch of like our elections. A large Harvard study found them to be the worst in the Western world.
It's frightening that they are, and it's a nice analogy. Comedy special just came out, and you were saying that it's not. Where is it available? What's the website?
Yeah, completely self-produced. No corporation is connected to it. Nobody censored it. It's at leecampcomedyspecial.com.
Awesome.
That is the only place you can get it. And if you use the promo code Uncle Sam, one word, you will get 25% off. So it downloads like $4 or something.
Awesome.
So leecampcomedyspecial.com, and I hope people check it out. It's my first stand-up special in over 4 years.
Wow.
And put a lot into it. Abby Martin does the intro.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Abby Martin, who was censored, right? Wasn't Abby Martin one of the ones who was recently censored big time?
Not by Facebook, but she was due to U.S. sanctions. Telesur has no way to pay her for her TV show Empire Files, because the U.S. has made it impossible for them to, or illegal for them to send money to U.S. citizens. So it's basically, she has been, due to ridiculous U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, she has been censored. So now her show Empire Files has continued with a GoFundMe, but that's kind of a temporary fix. So and this just gets back to our insane empire economic war that we have on various countries: Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, Nicaragua, and we just try and we create such havoc in these countries with economic war. We make it so fucking babies can't get medication and stuff, and then we run around saying, "Oh, look at how tough that country has it," and it's like, yeah, we're the ones doing it. Like,
I'm 48. When I was growing up, the USA was awesome, and all those countries that you just named were shit, and we were trying to help them be better. And come on, go USA. Looks like we failed. I don't know.
We do not like when countries throw off our capitalist yoke or the corporatist yoke or whatever it is, kick us out. We've held a grudge against Cuba for how many decades now, and Iran, basically the fact that they're not in our central banking dollar system has been upsetting since day one. So it's pretty infuriating to us if you aren't held down by our economic chains.
Yes. Yeah. This is what spreading of democracy means.
Our freedom. We bring freedom at the tip of a missile.
Yes, we do. It's really frightening that you and I and many others are in a battle to control that narrative and change it, because we still have a lot of American citizens that still believe. And look, my dad's 76. He's kind of split, right? He sees what's going on. He hears me talking about Obama wasn't a good guy, but he's like, no, Obama was, I voted for an Obama all my life. John, what are you talking about? That's my dad,
Yeah.
So we've got an indoctrination to fight here.
No, it's, Obama really did make the kind of empire and big oil and big pharma. He really made it go down smooth. So it was nice to have a very intellectual, not white face up there to say, that he proudly said we laid more oil pipeline than ever before. It could wrap around the earth 3 times. He deported more immigrants than ever before. Of course, Trump will top that record, but to that, he dropped more bombs than even under Bush. It was like 40 a day. Under Bush, it was like 30 a day. Now it's like 100 a day. It's increased the surveillance state, but it really did go down smooth. It was nice.
It did, all while shooting hoops and smiling. That's what I like. Look, he's shooting hoops. I wasn't paying attention to the bomb.
He's cool. And Bill Clinton played the saxophone.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Those two are like the yin and yang of corporate warmongery.
Oh my God. I covered, I challenge you to watch this and not vomit. This week, George W. Bush was given the Philadelphia Medal of Liberty for leadership and while bringing freedom. He was given that medal in a ceremony in Philadelphia, and the medal was placed around his neck by Joe Biden.
It was beautiful.
Oh,
Didn't you cry?
It was beautiful. I cried tears of blood.
I was moved.
Yeah.
Look at the old people giving each other awards. It's like a club.
But look at the times we're in. Even George W. Bush looks nice compared to 45, right? It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
The rejuvenation of George W. Bush by our liberal press has been fucking horrific. Just them trotting him out. They're like, look, he's a good guy now. Remember him? Hey.
And he's a good buddy of Michelle Obama also. They're sharing candies during funerals. It's crazy.
Candies, exactly.
I hate to say it, that leads to another problem, and that is we're not just fighting blatant fake news or horrible lies coming out of our president and things like Fox News. We have a spun narrative that's somewhere in the middle coming out of mainstream media, and then we have independent media saying, look, you don't want to look at any of that crap. And that leads to a lot of confusion, because Trump isn't wrong when he calls out fake media. He's just he's generalizing,
Well, yeah, that's what's so incredible is the one time Trump is telling the truth is when he says CNN is propaganda and, Russiagate, there's like nothing there, like it's no collusion. And it's like those are one times he's telling the truth, and then everything else is lies.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to watch it all fold on top of itself, where you're like, well, yeah, he's right, but also he shouldn't kick a journalist out of the White House because they asked a tough question. Like, that's not good either. Like,
right. And you're never going to see Jim Acosta and Julian Assange, backing each other. So it's,
I know.
But Jim Acosta.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jim Acosta is so happy he's now back in the White House. Now he can report again. He was confirmed again.
Our journalists, they are so-called journalists on the mainstream media. They're like, we defend freedom of press. We defend even under Obama, they defended Fox News. They were like, Fox News is right. But they don't do that for RT. They don't do that for Julian Assange.
No.
They're not talking about Assange, who is a journalist. Nothing WikiLeaks has ever published has ever been proven false. Now hold that up against the New York Times. It can't go 30 seconds without printing something false. I mean, there's a story this week about how North Korea is reinstituting their nuclear program. Apparently comes from photos from back in March or something. I like the level of bullshit coming out of there. Yet they're like, we stand up for journalists, except if you question the empire, and then we don't.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You stand up for the journalists that are loyal to the narrative,
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. If you're loyal to the corporate narrative, you're okay. You're part of the crowd.
And this leads to the next problem, if we have a narrative, but what about the topics they are not reporting about, they completely disappear under the carpet,
The caravan.
That's the other problem we have.
What? Lee?
Yeah, and in my opinion, that's the biggest achievement of our corporate media is not necessarily the lies that they push, but more just the papering over everything that they aren't talking about.
Exactly.
So it's as with to circle this back to where we were at the beginning, as with their reporting on the California fires, and this is what I cover on tonight's Redacted Tonight. As with that coverage, they'll cover the fires. They're talking about them. They're saying what's happening. They're saying the number of dead. These are all factual and important things they're talking about. But if they talk about that without ever mentioning climate change, it's designed to just fill the void of thought with things that are covering up so much that's behind it.
Right. Climate change, the Weather Channel talks about the science of climate change all the time, but they don't talk, and they talk about what we need to do in the future for fire prevention and what we need to do to make buildings stronger, but they don't talk about what we need to do to lessen the effects. Nobody talks about actually addressing climate change, right? My favorite, though, was CNN and everybody posting articles about how we all need to eat less meat. Not saying we don't, but there was no mention of the fossil fuel industry. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah.
Well, but even that article that you're pointing to is incredibly rare because Big Ag is so powerful that, how many articles has CNN put out saying we should eat less meat?
Right.
That's probably the one. So it's, I love that too. When they point to one article, actually, it's the only time Jake Tapper's ever tweeted at me. He responded to me saying that they don't talk about Yemen with him going, oh yeah, look at this. And he tweets to probably the only report CNN's ever had at that point about Yemen.
Oh.
And it's like, yeah, they had one and it didn't mention the U.S. So...
It didn't mention well, that's close. Yemen in a lot of trouble. U.S. sends aid, right? That's basically
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, I got to wrap this up in a minute.
No, we're out of here. Thank you so much. We're at 40 minutes. It's been awesome having you. Thank you for talking to us about independent media.
It really is such a pleasure. I hope people will check out the comedy special at leecampcomedyspecial.com. You can watch the trailer there as well. And in that comedy, unlike most stand-up comedy, I talk about all these issues. I get down in the weeds on some of this dark stuff because I don't know any other way to be. But thank you guys so much for talking about these issues.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. And in the video that I referenced, which is episode 216 of Redacted Tonight, everybody, and the links are in the description of this YouTube video, you're going to want to go there because Lee continues on to talk about climate change, talk about an insect report. He kind of makes a joke about Germans, and you guys know that we have to end the show on a song, and usually I let the guest pick, but because he slammed Germans, I thought I'd give it to Marcus. So Lee, thank you, but we're gonna get out of here with what is it, Marcus? What's the song you picked here?
It is.
Marcus, forgive me.
It's no problem, man. You're welcome. It was funny indeed. Yeah. And we're going out with Die Toten Hosen, a band from my city, and it is Welcome to My Land. They're introducing Germany.
Well, there you go. Welcome to my land. Germany, which has a fairly decent democracy at this point, and we should ask for their help. Thank you, Marcus, for Lee Camp. Thank you so much for joining us, and everybody watch Redacted Tonight and go get that comedy special. LeeCampComedySpecial.com, correct?
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you, everybody.
See you. Bye-bye.
The street where people live in fear of senseless crime and poverty, and the color of your skin decides if you should pay the penalty. This is the city where only money talks, of power, gain and influence, where the poor stay poor, the rich stay rich, and we're still told it's coincidence. It's the same old sad survival dance, that we're all born with an equal chance, but who could be so blind that they could never see that this is my land? I can't pretend that it's nothing to do with me, and this is your land. You can't close your eyes to the things you don't wanna see. This is a country filled with greed and hate, and cops on the take are commonplace. The next generation are condemned to waste by them politicians and magistrates. This is a world of war for the liquid gold, but there's still no cure for the common cold. We raise our flags and battle cries in the name of God and national pride, and the lie we used to convince ourselves